Last year, when most investors were watching their stocks plummet, one Wall Street legend had an unfair advantage that was identifying winning stocks with massive upside. Like Riot Blockchain before it shot up 10,090%, Digital Turbine before it shot up 789%, Overstock.com before it shot up 1,050%. This power gauge comes from the legendary Mark Chaikin. Right now, you can get a free in-depth look at how his power gauge system works. A way to type in any of 4,000 different tickers and see exactly where the stock is most likely to go next, and in any type of market. Simply go to powergaugepreview.com for a free look. Again, that's powergaugepreview.com. Welcome to Making Money. This is Matt McCall from I was going to say undisclosed location, but I'll disclose it, in beautiful London, in the heart of London, in Piccadilly right now. You can see behind me a really cool little, looks like a big poster or something here in my room. But we're not necessarily going to talk about London specifically in today's show. Today's show is a really big show because I'm going to tell you what I did yesterday. And it's all about VTOLs, VTOLing, otherwise known in my lingo, flying cars. At the first Vertiport ever yesterday, open to the public, I was there. I'm going to fill you in on all the details. We'll show you some pictures of that, all coming up right now on Making Money. Again, this is Matt McCall. Thanks for joining me. It is a Thursday. It's the 28th of April, 2022 right now. And a little bit later for me, it's about 11:15 or so back east on the East Coast in beautiful Baltimore, where Greg, the producer, is doing the show remotely from. As I mentioned, I'm in London, in the heart of London right now. Yesterday was about 2 hours north in Coventry, known as the Midlands, not too far from Birmingham. So if you watch Peaky Blinders, which is one of my favorite shows, you know the area that I'm speaking to. And I was up there doing something that I love to do, which is to really get the boots on the ground and go see things firsthand, especially if I'm recommending stocks in a trend, or maybe I'm going to see a company to subscribers, because I realize that it's, anybody can do financial numbers and do forecasts and that stuff. Not anybody, but people who have that knowledge can do that. But there's a difference between being able to do that, which I can, and going out and actually seeing it for yourself. Because a lot of times things on paper look one way and you get out there and you realize, wow, this isn't exactly what I thought it was. And that's where the term value trap actually comes from for investing. A lot of times you look at a stock and all the numbers say, wow, this is such a great value. We should be buying this right now. But in reality, if you look at it, it's like, no, it's a value and it's cheap for a reason. It's junk. That's what happens. So I love getting out there and coming to Stansberry Research last year, this was one of my big things. And I talked about this when I came over in October of last year, that, I signed a 10-year contract with Stansberry. I have 9.5 years left on my contract. And a big part of it was to give me the ability to travel during the roaring 2020s, to see the next huge mega trends, to find them for my subscribers. And then from there, how do you make money? Which stocks should you buy to take advantage of these mega trends? Again, it goes back down to the three pillars of this show, folks. That is education. By doing these things, I'm educating you on what is happening in the future, what's happening today, what the future brings. Having fun, you'll see some fun stuff. When you see pictures of me, I'll explain as why I didn't sleep for 2 days when I got my pictures taken yesterday at the first Vertiport. And then, of course, I take all this information, the financial information. I know how to read charts. I wrote a book on how to read charts 15 years ago. And then my boots on the ground research, the discussions I have with the people over a glass of champagne yesterday at the Vertiport. This is what you really get to know what's going on behind the scenes. All public information, nothing illegal, all public information. But you put that all together, I bring it back to my team. And from there, we find what we believe are the best stocks in that mega trend to make money over the next 5 to 10 years. So I have a ton of information I've been going through here today already in London. As I mentioned, it's already 4:15 over here, so I've had half a day in. I got my obligatory fish and chips for lunch when I woke up today. It was actually breakfast/lunch because of the time change. But before we get into what happened yesterday in Coventry, I must tell you a pretty funny story, because I tried to have fun with this, and this story is absolutely bananas. So Sunday night, folks, I flew to Tampa, and I flew there, and you know that because I did a show on Tuesday from Tampa in my hotel room. So I flew in Sunday night. I gave a speech to a group of financial advisors that Monday about Bitcoin and blockchain. If you haven't seen that show that I just did that we posted on Tuesday, please check it out. I share the same PowerPoint presentation I did that with the advisors, and I share it with you. And it's a great educational piece on Bitcoin and cryptos and why I'm bullish on that asset class that's worth over $2 trillion going forward. So everything's going smooth. I get in, my speech, I have a lunch, all that kind of stuff. I get to the airport, get on the plane. Everything's great. I got able to upgrade to first class. I got a beautiful bed to sleep for my 9-hour flight to Frankfurt before I get to London. We're about an hour over the Atlantic Ocean, and suddenly we did a U-turn. Something happened to the plane, so we had to divert to Miami. You sit in Miami, they fix it right away. Things are good, ready to go, but people kept coming. These yellow jacket people, in and out, in and out. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, we can't fly anywhere because German law tells you can't. You can't work too many hours. So regulation rears its ugly head, and they send us off to hotels. Finally get to a hotel at 1 o'clock. My meal, which I never had, didn't eat for about 15 hours, so I was hungry. So the only thing they had at the hotel, the only thing, folks, was a frozen mac and cheese, and I found the microwave, and I had that. Crinkled some potato chips on it, and that was my meal at 1:30 a.m. Long story short, next day I got there and they couldn't find my name anywhere in the list or anybody else's name. According to the German computers, we were still in the air on our way to Frankfurt. Finally get on a plane with a paper ticket. It was so bad that they literally wrote out my ticket in pink. I have it sitting right over there as a memento of this crazy trip. Finally get on again. They put me in the wrong seat. I finally get my right seat. On the tarmac for 4 more hours. Finally get to Frankfurt. For one of the craziest, bumpiest flights over the Atlantic I've ever had. Missed the next flight. Finally, when I get to London, and that's why I'm going to show you a picture in a second of me at the worst vertiport in the world. I look like I haven't slept in 2 days, and I still may look like that. I did get some sleep last night, but I'm still very tired. Look, I haven't slept in 2 days because I didn't. It was absolutely crazy. I went right from the airport. I had a driver pick me up. We drove 2 hours to Coventry from Heathrow. Right there, walked in with the camera and started doing the research. So I'm going to share a little bit about what I saw with you, and then we'll, throughout here, Greg, the producer, will prop in some pictures of me there and maybe a little video that we can show you of me walking around a vertiport. But I will tell you, it was fascinating. I learned a lot, and what I learned yesterday only has me more bullish, to be honest with you, when it comes to the future of transportation and this, particular topic. VTOLing, which is VTOL. So VTOL stands for Vertical Takeoff and Landing Vehicles. And we'll show you a picture of one here. We'll pop one up. It looks like a big drone, to be honest with you. And the one that they had there on display, they didn't fly this one yesterday, but it was on display, was it's still in its test mode. It's not approved yet to be flown in British Airways. Is by Hyundai, the Korean car maker. And Hyundai is the biggest investor in this company that is building these vertiports around UK, eventually around Europe, and around the world. And there's other companies doing it, but this company is backed by Hyundai. And Hyundai is really going full blown into eVTOLs. And the one that I just showed you, the big one there, that one won't be ready to really hit the skies for probably another 5 or 6 years. So it's a bit out. There's some smaller ones and some different models that should be out 2025. So only 3 years away. And there's a lot of other companies that are kind of shooting for that same time frame around 2025 as well, 2026. First, before I go any further, a lot of people say, well, Matt, that's 3 or 4 years away. Give me a call in 2024, 2025 when they're ready to go. And I'd say, okay, that's a valid argument or valid pushback to this. But my argument back to you is, if you wait that long, the stocks that I think will profit and make investors a lot of money in the next several years will already have run quite a bit by that time. This is about getting in early and being patient. And I'm not saying if you don't buy today, tomorrow's too late. But what I'm saying is now is a sweet spot. As I travel around, I've sat in a Hyundai 2 years ago. That one was a Hyundai Uber collaborative. I sat in one from Bell Labs 2 years ago. I mean, these are real and everybody's working on it. I talked about in the past how United Airlines has put $1 billion order in. Azul, which is a large Brazilian airline, put put $1 billion order in. NASA has put orders in. I mean, the amount of large companies that are going to be behind us. Embraer, which is a leader in mid-range, mid-size, I should say, mid-size airplanes in the world. They have a division that they're spinning off that is all about VTOL, and they have the backing of Embraer and all the technology and the know-how building planes for decades behind it. So it's not just a one-off company or some small startup. This stuff is real, and it's going to be here, whether you believe it or not, or whether you like it or not. And again, I don't want to say you can never be too early. You can, but because there's an opportunity cost to being too early. If you get too early and it doesn't move for years, you can make money in some other trend. I get that. However, it's very tough to time something, and I'd rather be early than to be late. So when it comes to VTOLs, I think right now is actually not too early. It actually is a great time, in my opinion, to start slowly putting some money into it and creating a diversified basket. I believe in it so much that actually next week, midweek, we're coming out with our next issue of the McCall report, which is our newsletter we put out each month, and we give stock recommendations. We do mega trends. We write about 10 to 15, 20 pages sometimes, all about our trend, give you portfolio updates, alerts anytime we buy or sell something. And I'm launching my first eVTOL basket. So it's going to be a basket of stocks. I'm not quite sure exactly which ones. We're still doing our research on it, but probably 3 or 4 stocks to start with. And that's going to be your way to gain exposure portfolio to this area. So we can put a link in there, I think, to check out what more about the McCall report. And if you want to sign up for it, we offer it as low as $49 for the year. You get 12 issues, folks, and tons of stock ideas. And there's not a better, honestly, there's not, I hate to sell on this, but there's not a better option out there for $49 freaking dollars. I just had lunch, fish and chips and a drink, and it was about $45. So think about that. I could have skipped lunch and had a year's worth of my team's research coming to you for that same price. So, back to yesterday, a few things that really kind of stuck out. One was what was really neat. The Vertiport is kind of like this. It's circular, and around the outside is where I'll explain what's around there, and the middle is basically the landing area. But what's really neat is this goes up and down like an elevator. It goes up, so it's even with the roof of everything else. You land, and it brings you down, and then you get out of it. That's where the arrivals and departures take place. And again, folks, don't think of this as like something that you're necessarily going to own and you're going to fly it there, potentially. But this is more of an air taxi. This will taxi you around. I always like the example of going from like Manhattan, for example, going from Manhattan to JFK, which if anybody knows by car, sometimes could take you a very, very long time. And you could be stuck in traffic, miss flights. This should get you there in about 12 to 15 minutes. And they'll have vertiports all around Manhattan. There'll be vertiports at all the airports. And this is something, again, if you don't believe me, just Google Vertiport and you'll see the pictures of the future of transportation. So that's like the arrivals and departures area. You go to landing, and it takes you up and down. There's also, this one had like a little bar and food and restaurant, obviously there as well. Outside, I thought was pretty fascinating. They had a bunch of EVs out there, and they were plugged in because everything, all the power they need for these VTOLs are going to need. They're all electric. They're all run with batteries. Each propeller has its own battery. Some have 5 propellers. Some have 8. It depends on the model, but each one has its own battery. And so, what was amazing about this one too, the one in Coventry, is the representative was telling me that the power that was powering everything, these EVs and the VTOLs, was from hydrogen. And there's little hydrogen things set up out there, so it was all clean. Everything was coming in was clean power, which I thought, that is the future. So if you're going to do this, do it right. Don't have it powered just by a normal carbon producing power. If we're going to do it, the future is about green energy. Let's get it right away. And I like the fact that the company did that. I thought that was really impressive. And showing how you pull your car up if you're doing that. Your car's charging while you're going where you're going and coming back. So there's that area. There's also a logistics area. And because a lot of these drones can be used for moving packages around, which was really neat because you think about like Amazon and drones, you get it. But I'm talking about bigger packages. It could be, boxes full of a lot of people's packages, take them to a distribution center, back and forth. So there's a whole kind of part of the Vertiport that deals with logistics and packages and deliveries. And then there was the technical area. And in that area, you have to remember that a lot of these will start with pilots, but they're all built to be autonomous. So eventually, once there's enough regulations in place and there's enough safe flights, this will be an autonomous flying vehicle. And a lot of them will be controlled. The takeoff and landing will be from guys on computers sitting right there and women on computers. And then there's another little area of computers that takes care of the up and down of the landing spot. So everything's basically run right there. And they showed it there specifically showing you how this can be controlled, because they can control everything from right there. The test flights that they did were controlled right there. They're autonomous test flights. But what the representative did share with me is, eventually those won't be there. They could be remote anywhere, making control from anywhere. But they're showing it now just because I think to show how it's done, number one. Number two, to show people there's actually people behind the screens that are doing this. So that was kind of neat to see that happen as well. There's actually a little robot going around asking what you needed. It was like the taxi stand of the future. It was really neat. I'm glad I was able to, get there and see it and share it with you. But again, I took some videos, I got some pictures, and we'll share more with you. And if you're a subscriber to the McCall Report already, I'm going to share all this with you. That's why I do this, to share it. And I don't do it just out of fun. I mean, I have fun while I do it, obviously, but I want to share with you and show you. I walked around with the camera and did the whole thing. So I'll show you everything that was in there, that was going on. But I will tell you, it does make me bullish on the future of flying taxis and some type of autonomous system connecting major cities. And, people say, well, it's just going to be for the wealthy. At first, it probably will be. I'm not going to lie to you. It probably will be for the wealthy and for corporations flying around, potentially executives and stuff at first. But any study you read will tell you that the cost per mile will actually be cheaper in an eVTOL than it will in an Uber today. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So it won't eventually be just for the wealthy, but most things that start out, that's how it is. The wealthy, and not unfortunately, it's just the way the game works, right? Money talks. So it will be the wealthy at first, but it will be democratized. So it comes down to, and it will be helping everybody get safer and quicker to where you need to be, cutting out commute times, and it's just, again, it's just part of the future, folks. It really is. I don't know how else to say it, but it is something that is going to change our lives. And from an investment standpoint, I got to tell you, I don't think you can ignore it anymore. I really don't. I'll show you a couple of charts of some of the stocks, and none of these are buy or sell recommendations. I can't tell you if they're going in portfolio or not. There's a long list that I'm looking at right now. I don't know. These are just some of the bigger names that people have asked me about over the years. So the first one is Archer, ACHR. And Archer, it went public via SPAC. A lot of them went public via SPACs last year. So Archer Aviation is, as you can see here, when it made its announcement back in January of 2021, it ran from its $10 SPAC price up to 18, then came back down to 10 with everything else, went sideways, and then all the SPACs that de-SPAC, meaning they merged with the company, have gotten killed. I saw a stat the other day, something like 91% of SPACs that de-SPACed over the last year are down, like almost 9 out of 10. You can see here, Archer's actually having a really big day, up 12.7% today. It's breaking out a little pattern there at $4 a share. But Archer is one of the bigger names out there that's shooting for the mid-roaring 2020s. Another one is Lilium, also went public via SPAC. That's symbol LILM. So the Lilium, LILM, went public last year, hit that $10 level, ran up to $11.50 in September. Been going down since then. It was traded down to $2. It's at around $3 right now, $2.97. This one's actually down 4% today, while Archer is up 12%. So I don't know the news specifically that's moving it today, but just give you the idea. Those are two big ones out there. Another one that I had recommended in the past when I was at a prior company is EHang Holdings, and that's symbol EH. And this is the Chinese equivalent of flying cars. And you can take a look back on the left side of this chart here. It was down, around $10 or so. It ran up to 125. And I don't remember the exact price that I recommended to my subscribers, but I'm pretty sure this was a 10 bagger for us, meaning makes 10x their money. It went up at that high. And it's since come down with everything else tech related, but down to $8.43 a share now, symbols EH on EHang. And for EHang, as I mentioned, Chinese. So anything China related right now, especially at trades in the U.S. exchanges, people just they're so anti them. When it comes to EHang, I'm just looking something up here real quick. They're going to be probably the first to be profitable, and they've had some profitable quarters already, and that's big because a lot of these. Lilium, Archer, for example, they haven't produced anything yet. I mean, they haven't sold anything yet that's actually out, in being worked on, people are using. So EHang's fallen down. It's a $482 million company right now. And if I take a look at the numbers, revenue this year expected to be 191 million yen, or renminbi, but going up about threefold next year. It's looking for annual revenue growth of over 110% next couple of years, bottom line growth 36%, and should be making some annual money in the next couple of years. So those are just three names that are come off the top of my head. Again, no rhyme or reason, no buy or sell recommendation. I may put all three, I may put none in my list when I release it to our subscribers in McCall report next week. But I wanted to share that with you and just let you know. There's a couple out there, and there's a lot more out there as well. Joby Aviation, JOBY. A lot of people ask about that a lot. There's quite a few out there. But I'm going to keep today's show pretty tight and short. I have a lot more information than I got from yesterday. But like I said, there's not been much sleep in the last 4 days. So we're going to keep it rolling, keep it short. When I get off here, I'm going to finish writing up our report for our subscribers. That's going to go out next week. And I need to keep working my team back in the States on which stocks we're going to recommend. But there's quite a few we're going to pick from. But I'm super excited to get this portfolio out and running, get in your hands, give you the opportunity to invest in this really groundbreaking technology that we're seeing kind of for the first time in use, as I saw yesterday in Coventry, UK. All right, folks, thank you so much. Again, coming to you from London. So you're going to see some weird backgrounds in the next couple of months. I am on the road a lot. So we're going to be a lot of different fun places. The last three shows, I think the last four may have come from Baltimore, Delray, Tampa, London. Next week we'll be back in Baltimore. So we got quite a few cool places coming up. Boots on the ground is going to continue, and we're here for you to continue to educate you, have some darn fun, and make some freaking money. So again, thank you so much for the support. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back to you on Tuesday, back in the States. I'm Matt McCall, and that was Making Money.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.